Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the awesome F200. This is a 5-inch racing drone and obviously the bigger brother to the F100. These come with some pretty nice components. First and foremost, the T motors here. These are the F42s. These are 2600 kV, very powerful motors, very smooth, and you got these nice hollow shafts. Fortunately, I can't see what kind of C-clip or screws on the underneath of that motor because these LEDs are in the way. I personally am not a fan of LEDs. I wish they didn't do this, but they are programmed into the flight controller. They all do the same thing, so there's not four that are programmed differently. You program one LED, they all do the same thing. Anyway, so this comes with a RunCam Swift 2. So this has the on-screen display with the pilot name, the flight time, and the battery voltage. The flight controller that's in here is a SB Racing F3 with a video transmitter on board. And in fact, this is the exact same board that's in the UB130, and I did that video like last year. So if you guys are curious, I'll put a card in the corner to that video. I show this board in a little more detail, and more specifically how to change your bands and channels on the video transmitter base. It's not that difficult. There's a little button right there, and you can kind of stick your screwdriver in there. It's kind of hard to see, but there it comes right there. It's a white button right there. You can use a little screwdriver to hit it, and then there's a little LED display right there that'll show your bands and channels. The bands will be lettered A, B, C, D, E, F, I believe, and then obviously your channels are numbered 1 through 8, and then you can also change your power as well. So the trick to changing your bands and channels is long pressing the button. So you long press it to change your bands, and then the letters will flash, and then once you see the letter that you want, you would press the button again, and then to set it, you long press the button again for I think 2 seconds. To change the power, you long press that button for I believe 6 seconds, and maybe a little longer, and then you'll see a number flash on there. It'll be 1, 2, and 3, and then you can switch your power from, I believe it's 25 milliwatts, 200 milliwatts, and 400 milliwatts. So 1 will be 225, 2 will be 200, and 3 will be 400 milliwatts. And then again, you long press the button to set it. Otherwise, you don't get any video. It'll appear like it's actually off. The ESCs here are actually also the same ESCs, I believe. These are 20 amp 4-in-1 ESCs with BLE-S. The flight controller, for whatever reason, is defaulted to one-shot 125, so you definitely want to change it to D-Shot 600 so you get basically the motors will run smoother. For whatever reason, with one-shot 125, I don't think they actually calibrated the ESC, so when I was doing the testing, I think 3 of these motors would spin up before this motor here, but then once I switched it over to D-Shot 600, all the motors spun up at the same time at a lower throttle level, so and it's seen much smoother. So definitely recommend going D-Shot 600 on the flight controller. It's an easy change to do in Betaflight Configurator, and I'll just show you my Betaflight settings. That didn't change a whole lot. I just changed the D-Shot setting. I changed my receiver setting because I'm going to be using an iBus receiver, FlySky, the X6B receiver, and I'll show you that in a second. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to fly it stock with the stock tune. I think it's the stock default PIDs in Betaflight 315, I believe is what's flashed on here. So it should fly pretty well. Now the interesting thing about the FPV camera here, it has the built-in OSD. There's no OSD on the flight controller, so it's not like an Omnibus F3 flight controller where it has like the Betaflight OSD. So the OSD is just built into the camera, and they're not actually using the VBAT sensor line. They're actually using the actual voltage. So the voltage that's being supplied here is actually being supplied directly to the camera, and that's how they're getting the voltage. The other thing that's not being used is the audio pin. That's also not being used. You could plug in your OSD cable in there if you want to change your settings. And I believe that this comes with a PAL camera, not an NTSC camera. So if you guys are wondering, it comes with a PAL camera. Now the frame itself here is very nice. It's a unibody construction, so obviously you break an arm here, you're going to have to replace the whole bottom plate. I've read some complaints about the carbon here not being in the most, I guess the most optimal a layer, or the way it's been layered here, so it does seem a little bit flexible for 4mm carbon. It's supposed to be 3K carbon, but you can see it flexes here. And normally you shouldn't be able to see that. I think it has to do with the way that they cut the carbon here, although it's cut very nicely. I mean, it's beveled edges here, it's clean, you're not going to cut your finger on it. But I think because it's a unibody construction, they probably should have rotated the cut so that it's cut at the strongest point, because you can tell it does flex a little bit here. So the strength of this frame is a little bit suspect, but it looks really nice. And you get a circular polarized antenna here. Obviously, don't know what it looks like inside there, but I'm assuming it's probably a 4-leaf circular polarized antenna. It's a SMA connector here. The video transmitter has a little pigtail here that goes to this top plate, so that if you happen to snap this off, it's not going to rip off your video transmitter connector there, because then you have to replace the flight controllers here, which would kind of suck. Now, speaking of things getting ripped off, if you happen to crash and pull this battery lead here, there's no real good place to secure this battery lead so that it doesn't get ripped off of the pads on the 4-in-1 ESC. I'm probably going to just zip tie it to the arm here and have it do this kind of thing, and then have the battery plug in on the side over here. That's probably the best thing I can do, because yeah, you definitely want to secure this and have a little stress relief on that. Otherwise, you're going to be having to replace that 4-in-1 ESC. It's kind of I wish there was something there, like maybe like a cutout here in the carbon or something sticking out to zip tie this to, so that you can prevent that from happening. So that's kind of unfortunate. Probably just zip tie it to the arm. I guess that's the only thing you can do. Now you got a nice little flat area that's angled up here for your HD camera, so you can strap on a GoPro Session or RunCam 3, for example. So like some of those longer cameras like the RunCam 3 or the Legend from Fox here will fit up here very nicely for your HD videos. So I'll probably just stick a RunCam 3 in there, just because it fits on there really nicely. I just strap it on. Now, this model does not come with a receiver. You have to add your own. The UART you want to use, so this are going to be these micro connectors here. So this is UART3 over here, and then UART2 and 1 are over here on this side. These are 4-pin micro connectors, and this is an 8-pin micro connector. So they do supply two kinds of micro connectors here for that port on the side for UART3. And one is going to be for S-Bus and one is going to be for PPM. So the one over here on the right, where the basically signal is next to the power, this is the PPM connector, but I'm going to be using the S-Bus connector, and you can see the yellow wire is moved over 2 slots from the power. And I've already tested this, it works for me. I've got this connected to an X6B receiver, and probably going to just direct solder, cut off this servo connector, direct solder this to the wire that goes to the receiver here. Just don't have to have all this extra wire inside there. And then obviously iBus, I'm using iBus, and that's a serial protocol, so that'll just work just fine with this connector. Now somehow I'm going to have to get my receiver inside here. I'm probably going to just slide it in. I think there's enough space for me just to slide it in. If not, you can either take off these 4 screws here to get to take the top off, or you can take these 4 screws off here which goes into these metal side plates here, to take the top off that way. The receiver I'm using is about 30mm across, so it'll fit nicely underneath there on top of the flight controller, and then I can just plug it in right there. I've actually tested the connection, and I already know it works, so it's not a problem in terms of the connector here and the setup. You just have to enable serial RX on UART3 for this, and then select S-Bus or iBus for your serial receiver. So they do include a couple battery straps here, and so I'm just going to, actually I'm not going to stick it in through these slots here, I'm just going to slide it underneath these ESC cables and unwrap them on the side here. So since these edges are beveled, it shouldn't cut into the battery strap, should be just fine. Probably put some sticky pad stuff here on the bottom like I normally do, or you can use some Velcro here to hold on to your battery onto the bottom, so it should be pretty fine. They do these motors do come with prop nuts, they're included in the box, And then the props that they're including are these 5042 3-bladed props. I think they're just generic clones of something. I'm not really sure, but these are the ones that came with, and I'll be using these in the flight demo. Okay, so the next part of the video, I'll go ahead and I'll show you my Betaflight settings. I'm not changing a whole lot. Pretty much going to run it stock, and then I will then show you the flight demo. Okay, I'll take a quick look at the settings I have. I have my receiver on UR3, as I mentioned before. I enabled D-Shot 600. My gyro and PID is going to be at 4 and 2. I have everything off except for air mode. Under other features, VBAT of course is on. Failsafe is just standard stock. PID tuning is just standard stock. Didn't change anything under receiver. You do have to match the channel map that's on your radio, so make sure you check this. And then under modes, I have switch arming on auxiliary 1 for one of my switches. And that's all the changes I made. Pretty much I'm running this out of the box. Get a little line of sight of the awesome F100. Pretty smooth. Let's do a little punch out. Wow. Oh, we got a hawk up there. He's eyeing me. Those T-motors are pretty powerful. Let's do a couple flips. Oh yeah. Don't think I like the sound of the props so much. I think they sound a little, I don't know, maybe unbalanced. The motors seem smooth, but I think this would do better with some different props, not the ones that came stock. Here's some of my thoughts on this model while it's flying around here. I think that they've got some great motors on here. The T motors are obviously very good, but they have some older components on here. The 4-in-1 ESC is only 20 amps. Most everything these days are coming with 30 amp 4-in-1 ESCs, and the flight controller is an older SV Racing F3 board, so it has the older gyro. I forget what it was called, the 9250 or the 6050 instead of the 6000. So that's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, I mean most of the modern boards have OSDs on there. Yeah, they have the camera OSD from the RunCam Swift 2, but then they put in the PAL camera and not an NTSC camera, so that's kind of a miss as well. The frame is sort of so-so. It shouldn't be that flexible. They obviously cut the carbon the wrong way. It should be stronger at 4mm, but the frame itself looks pretty nice. And as far as I can tell, even though it's got older components and stuff, it seems to fly okay with these basically stock tune and stock settings here. I didn't really push it that hard on this flight, but it's kind of a smaller area. But there's no oscillations, no vibrations. It seems to fly okay. It's just that I wish that they would have used some newer components, because everything these days is coming out with, you know, Betaflight OSD, F4, you know, Omnibus F3, F4 flight controllers, etc., etc. So they've got some older stuff on here, and so they, you know, if they do that, they should have the cost should be a lot lower. And I think that this one is actually more than the Furry X215 after the coupon. So I think if you're looking at this one or the Furry, I would go and check out the Furry before that one sells out, because at $150 with the coupon, that one is a much better deal than this one. Can't say that this thing flies poorly. I think it still flies pretty well. It's just that, you know, it's a little bit outdated, I think, for what you can get currently on the market right now. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.